Hello, everyone. Now that you have created your awesome podcasts full of wonderful content, audio, video, sound effects, vocal recordings, all sorts of stuff, the next step is to save it and make it available either to publishing to websites or downloading to MP3 players, things like that. So, while you can save this as a GarageBand file by simply clicking File and Saving, to make it an MP3 file or whatever file you want. If this is a video podcast, it's going to be a different kind of file. But in order to do that, you're going to click Share, and depending on what you want to do with this particular file, you're going to choose one of these options. We can send it to iTunes by clicking Send Movie to iTunes. This particular one is a video podcast. Or, if you have a iWeb website, you can publish it directly to that website. You can send it to iDVD to make a DVD out of the podcast. Or you can export this to a disc or burn the song to a CD. So, many different options. If you're just wanting to save it as its raw video file and put it on a different computer, choose Export Movie to Disk. But what we're going to do is we're going to send this movie to iTunes. And you can name this movie and categorize it under various playlists, artist names, album names, things like that. Adjust the video settings. So if you want to make it only viewable on iPods or Apple TVs or for the web, it will compress the video down into a smaller size, making it easier to transfer to those devices. We'll leave it at full quality for now and click Share. And iTunes will go through the process, or GarageBand rather, will go through the process of mixing this video podcast and compressing it into an iTunes acceptable format. And once it is done, it will put it in my iTunes library, and I can play it on this computer. I can download it to iPods, iPhones, any type of media player. I can embed it within a website. I can upload it to YouTube. I can do a variety of different things with this podcast once I send it to iTunes. So GarageBand looks like it's finishing up here in just a moment, and it will be sending that to iTunes. So let's go ahead and look at iTunes for a minute while this is finishing up. And it has put it in iTunes. I'll show you where it puts it. We have this video podcast right here under the album name and artist name that you give it. And if we double click it, it will preview that podcast here in iTunes. So this particular video podcast is a screencast of Google Earth demonstrating some of the tools and features. You can use any type of video you'd like, screencasts, recordings of PowerPoint presentations, or even just video recordings with a digital camera or camcorder work very well. This other one is an example of a podcast that is purely audio, but with some picture files to go with it. So that's an example of a podcast that uses photos, jingles, and vocal tracks to convey a message. And we have put them in iTunes, and now they're ready to share with the world. So have fun creating and sharing your own podcasts, and I hope you have learned a great deal about them and are ready to enter the world of podcasting.